Chef and Builder Janie Pendleton. We are back in my kitchen where today we're talking about how to clean your jars after they've cooled coming out of the canner. Okay, this is just that pork sausage, that mild pork sausage that we can. And you can see here that my writing of the pork sausage stayed on, so I was able to tell the difference between what I was canning. Once this dries, I will date this as well. You can also use the waterproof labels on here. Ball Canning has them and several other companies have them, but I find that the Ball Canning ones actually wash off a lot easier. Now you'll see in here a little bit of the fat on top. Try not to tip this. I mean, I'm only tipping this for, do as I say, not as I do. I'm only tipping this for the angle of the camera. But you'll see this fat and the liquid separate here as this hardens after a day or two on the counter. We'll leave that on top. We can use that on biscuits when we open this up. Even if you make your own dog food, that's really good with the dog biscuits. All right, so the paper, see the paper stays together in there, so if anybody asks me about that, it's fine. So what we're gonna do here now is we're just gonna take some really hot soapy water. We're just gonna soak the lids to get the grease off those lids. And we're just gonna wash this. And hang on to it tight because this can get very, very slippery. So I don't break them. I actually put like an old tea towel or something down in the water. But you don't want to sit these down in the hot water for very long because they have came to room temperature. A warm environment is not good for your canned goods. We're going to store these in a dark, cool place. Again, that's a dark, cool place. All right, we're going to give this a rinse. And that fat will just float right up to the top. But because these are patties, this fat could get stuck down here between the patties, and that would actually make the patty float to the top and come out of that liquid. With the fat being on top, like it should be, it actually helps protect those patties and keep them underneath that fluid. Here's another one. And again, I'm going to do this without breaking the fat seal that it has up to the glass. You'll know if your canned goods are getting too hot if that fat melts. Should be a nice solid state in there. So now you ask, should you wash all your jars or just the ones with meat that have fat on them? I wash all my jars. I wash them all. This will help keep rodents and mice and things out of your canning and your storage area if you keep your jars clean. As a matter of fact, if I haven't eaten them, I take all of my food stores every 6 months out of the closet and I wash them really well, get the dust off them, check seals. All right, so now what we're gonna do is after we check these every 6 months, somebody asked me, how do I know if a jar's gone bad? Let me tell you, that will rarely happen, but when it does, you will know it. Because if this is popped up and there's something growing inside, you're gonna smell it. It will smell like a dead body in your closet. It is that bad. And what you wanna do to dispose of a bad jar, if it ever happens, which by the way is rare if you read your canning directions and you follow the recipe, it's very rare that happens. What you wanna do is it's called botulism. And it's extremely dangerous. Nothing to mess around with. This is why I tell you not to can certain things unless you're a seasoned canner. But what you want to do is put on a pair of rubber gloves. You want to glove up. Once you glove up, even double glove up, you'll want to take the jar, the lid, and everything. You don't want to reuse that jar. And you're going to put it in a plastic bag. You're going to wrap it up. You're going to put it in another plastic bag, and then you're going to put it in a kitchen trash bag, and then you're going to throw it away. And then you're going to use bleach and water solution, and you are going to clean the entire area where this was. You're going to clean all the jars that were around it. Matter of fact, there's one person told me they threw every jar on that shelf away that was touching that jar, and I don't think that was a bad idea at all. I mean, they may have had some loss, but it's better than having some death. So it's nothing to mess with. And when my husband comes in here in a little while, he's going to do some more talking as a medical professional, he's going to do some more talking about botulism. All right, so that covers what we do if we find a bad jar. Trust me, it's nothing to play around with, and don't risk it. I even wear a face mask, an N95 mask. So keep those on hand and rubber gloves on hand. And I keep those away from the canning closet so they don't get contaminated too. Now as far as the rings go, we just got them in here soaking. We're just going to give them a nice rinse. Knock them over. Make sure the water's really hot. And we're just going to continue like this, and we do this every time. Except for jams, I will take the rings off and I'll wash some of my water bath stuff like jams and pickles, things I know that's going to go in the refrigerator and get opened and shed a lot. I'll leave the ring on. All right, this is my husband, Dr. John Pendleton. He's a surgeon for the U.S. Army, or he was. He's now retired. Now he's my electrician. He can do that too. So anyway, he's going to talk to you about sterilization and what it takes to actually sterilize. I had somebody tell me, oh, that's not sterilized. I can't believe you bleached your countertop and then you didn't rinse it off, with the Clorox wipe. And I had to laugh. The Clorox wipes are made to wipe off without rinsing. So, so don't worry about that. And then also, somebody will say, oh, well, you put your hand down in the jar. Well, first of all, I'm visually impaired, so I have to put my hand in the jar and do it now. Look at this. It doesn't matter, because this is going to go through a pressure and steam sterilization process. And anything that I have on my hand just now, see, touching this, the whole idea of pressure canning is to get rid of that. That is the final sterilization process. And so, sure, you want to keep your hands clean, and sure, if you got MRSA or something, you don't want to do this. I mean, sure, there's going to be some instances, you got the flu or something, why risk the babies, right? And so they ask me, why do I go through all these steps and processes? Why do I wash my hands so much? Why do I wash the jars? Why do I why do I put these through, 20 minutes of boiling water? If I'm still pressure canning, yes, it's still going to kill all of that. So why do I do that?
Well, Janie got the jars one day and we smelled them, and they smelled very, very bad. So the sense of smell will tell you something that it's not clean. So, and it came right out of the package from the factory. Those smells, really, when we eat food, those smells translate into flavors. So what you smell is what you taste, and it's all integrated together. If you don't clean the jar and you get it as clean as possible, and it smells fresh and it is clean, then even if you go through the sterilization process, it could be sterile, but it could be awful stinky.
It was bad. It smelled like a barnyard inside there, like cow poop. It was bad, wasn't it?
Yeah. So you don't want to taste that. So a lot of the cleaning processes are to protect yourself, make sure you're clean. A lot of diseases, if we just washed our hands, turned our head when we sneezed, and used some common courtesies in reference to that, it would really alleviate a lot of different diseases that we battle, that are very deadly and that people take for granted.
Even influenzas, correct?
Influenzas have swept the world and caused the death of countless of millions of people throughout history. A flu, a virus, something else. If you don't want something to be not clean. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not sterile. The whole world around us has life. Sterilization in the hospital, it's basically practice that you use pressure, steam over time. So the sterilization of the instruments and the surgical instruments were a real problem. Physicians used to go from the autopsy room right into the surgical room with a healthy live patient. A lot of people died simply because of the transference of those pathogens from death to life. Now, on our skin, we have different non-pathogenic organisms and sometimes pathogenic organisms, but our skin protects us because it's a covering. And if we wash our hands, then we're less likely to expose other people to a pathogen.
So when we get a cut, like I got yesterday, the first thing he did was put an antibiotic on it, but that Vaseline on it also sealed up the cut. So other things that were on my skin, and while I'm washing and working in dirt and stuff, and I was out planting those fake flowers, planting fake flowers. But it was to keep things from getting into my cut, because that's a good way to get tetanus, is in the soil and stuff. So I mean, it's a protection that you put an antibacterial cream on you. Now, should I can if I got a cut? Well, yeah, my hands are clean. I've been dealing in bleach and trying to get things, everything sterilized and cleaned. But everything is not completely sterilized till it goes under that amount of time, amount of pounds of pressure for your elevation, and for your pressure and steam, right? Pressure and steam.
It's time, pressure, and steam. So over a period of time, it will kill a lot of the pathogens. There are non-pathogenic organisms that live at high temperatures, and from the vents of the ocean to the vents of different state parks and stuff like that. They're alive, but they don't cause disease in us. So sterility, or the total sterility of something, is not really what you're shooting for, but you are shooting for clean. When you put it in the pressure canner, you're really using an autoclave device, the same sort of device that they use at the hospital, and they use time, steam, and pressure over time, and they clean things to the best of their ability. And the smell's gone before you put it in the stuff in it.
Well, that's the problem. I clean it because the smell was in the jar. You don't want the smell in the jar and any bugs or anything in there. That's why I wash it really well. Drain it, I put it over here to cook. A little vinegar in the water keeps your jar clear. That helps. And then I pack it with food, hot jar, cold food, cold jar, so it doesn't crack. Then a hot jar goes in hot water, about the same temperature as this. You don't want it boiling, just about as hot as you've been working with. And if it's cold packed food, then you want to put it down inside room temperature water or cold water. Remember, these may be tempered, but they can easily break, especially when you're bringing up a temperature that fast on the stove. So hot food, hot jar, hot water. Cold food, cold jar, cold water. But when I say cold jar, I don't mean I don't want you to wash it. You still want to wash it first. There could be particles in there from the last strawberry jam you had. There could be particles in here from the last meatloaf that you had, even right here along the edge. And that can keep that from sealing. So just for not wasting lids purposes, for the smell, if I put the green beans in here now and it smelled like the factory oil and the cow manure and every one of those packets smelled that way.
They smelled really bad, yeah.
It was horrible. So one day just open up a new jar and sniff the inside of it. The factory oil's in that jar. They say, oh, the jars are clean, you go ahead and can with them. Don't do it. You don't know where those jars have been. It's just like anything else. I've seen things floating in Cokes that were sealed closed from things happen. The bug itself would have been sterile. It would have went through the sterilization process at the plant. But do I want to eat the bug? No. So it's just like with this, when you put your green beans in here, and if this smells, that smell's going to transfer to your food.
And it's transferred to your taste.
Yeah.
And doing the little extra step to clean things is really an important thing.
Yeah,
so wash your hands, wash yourself, keep yourself clean. If you have a cold and you're a parent, or if you have a child that has a cold, then take the child, make a little play area. What you want to do is provide in your environment, though. If we provided some isolation within our own homes and care in reference to food preparation, you have food that looks good, it tastes good, and it's good for you and it's good for your family.
That's right. And remember to store your canned goods in a dry, dark, cool location. The reason being is in a closet or something where it's cool. The reason being is because the sun can damage your canned goods. It can take that coloring out of it. It can release those vitamins and kill the vitamins in here, and your food will last longer on the shelf. Now, Ball Canning Company says that canned goods with their lids, they're using their lids, Ball lids, are good for here. See, look at people, that's making you nervous, isn't it? It's going to get washed. It's going to get washed, go into the boiling water bath, and then it's going to get pressure canned. So I can do whatever I want with it. Sorry, I'm just trying to irritate you because I know a lot of you write in about it. And by the way, somebody wrote in and they said, oh, Jane, you need to tie your hair back. Well, first of all, let me tell you something, whoever wrote that in. Sorry, I don't tell too many people off. You're not in my kitchen eating my food. He is. And what do I do with my hair when I'm actually cooking?
You bring it back into a ponytail generally.
I put it back in a ponytail, or it's in a back braid, or it's in a braid. I never cook with my hair down because my hair's so long. I've actually rolled my hair up when I was a little girl up in beaters. And I almost lost my scalp. So no, I actually, for the camera, my hair is down. But actually what I normally have is my rubber band. You'll notice a rubber band on my wrist. And the first thing I do is my hair goes into a braid and flipped over my back and it's tied back. Or I open this up and I've got this on my head. So yeah, I don't like hair in my food. You'll notice my husky's not in here. Before I can, no animal, cat, or dog is allowed, or child is allowed, or man, no I'm just kidding, is allowed in my kitchen when I'm canning and when I'm preserving food. I've got it all clean, I've got everything wiped down and as sterile as possible with the Clorox wipes. Now remember, even they say that's only 99.9%. And I'm not, well, we're lab people. I guess we don't have that excuse. But I'm not going to go take a wipe sample before I can and put it under the microscope. Now we have 2 microscopes. We'll have to do that sometime. There you go. That's what we can do. We've got 2 microscopes out in the garage. I found them yesterday when I was cleaning out the garage. And since we're both scientists, we'll have to take some swabs in here of some things and show people on the glass what it looks like before and after you clean your kitchen, before and after for canning and preserving food. And how important it is to clean your area before you do can. The less chance you have of putting bacteria in here, the less chance you'll have bringing bacteria out of the canner. If you don't put it in, it won't come out. So if you don't put bacteria in here, you're not going to get bacteria out of here. So in other words, if you do it right and you put as less bacteria in here as possible, you get these nice and clean and as sterile as possible, your area and your hands, then by the time you press your can, you're just more assertive that your family is safe during canning.
It's important.
It's very important. All right, so that's just answering some of your questions. Does that make you nervous? Anyway, I hope that answers some of your questions. And yeah, this is getting thrown away. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I am going to use it. You just won't know which jar it is when you come to visit me.
Okay. You clean things good.
I know I do. All right. I love you. Thank you.
I love you
That
too.
was funny. I just thought I'd make you laugh. But anyway, at the expense of the jar. No, I'm going to wash it. Just going back in the sink. Scrubby, 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 scrubby. I rinse it really well so you don't get the taste of the soap in your food either. Okay, I'm going to finish washing these and I'll be right back. And again, just a little cloth on the bottom here really helps your jars from clinging together. Usually I use a bigger cloth than that. And we'll be right back. I sure hope that this is helping you. I really do. Don't be afraid to can. Give it a second rinse.